Welcome to the Whole Athlete Podcast, where we focus on discussing topics to help you become a fat burner, optimize health, and improve performance in life and sports. Transform the whole you from the inside out with the holistic method. Let's dive in. Here's your host, Debbie Potts.
Hey everybody, it's Debbie Potts, and I'm doing a new episode of the Whole Athlete Podcast with one of my favorite people to follow and learn from, Shawn, Mynar, who's in Boulder, Colorado. Thanks for coming on today on my show.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, Debbie. This is going to be really fun, talking all things keto.
So you are the keto queen for the Keto for Women podcast, and you're a nutritional therapy practitioner and certified personal trainer as I am. But, how long have you been doing this? And let's kind of dive into how you got into being the keto specialist.
Yeah. So as far as keto specifically, it's been actually my 2-year anniversary is like right around the corner. Actually, it might be like today, to be honest. So it's been about 2 years that I've been really dabbling with the keto thing myself. And then really, I kind of got into teaching it right away because I felt such great benefits in my health right away when I went keto and just kind of wanted to get the word out. I was already, had been paleo for a number of years for mainly for autoimmune disease and trying to put that into remission. So then keto was kind of the next step when I started having more health issues that paleo wasn't solving essentially. And I was starting to kind of, get worse and worse and worse and have more and more of these random health issues that kept coming up that what I was used to doing wasn't solving anymore. And so, finally, super long story short, figured out what was going on. It ended up being that I was exposed to toxic mold and it was making me really sick. So I went on a protocol for that with a functional medicine doctor, but then also went keto at that same time. And that's when things like really started turning around. And I finally, now 2 years later, I'm the healthiest I've ever been in my whole life, happiest I've ever been in my whole life, feels the best I ever have in my whole life. So I really attribute that to keto. I mean, amongst other things that I do in my life, of course, it's not ever just one thing, but keto has done some great things for myself and my health. And so that spurred me to want to share the message, being a nutritionist and, former personal trainer. I know you can agree with this. You just really, your whole goal in life is just to get the word out there, get more people to understand their bodies and their health and how they can feel as good as they want to feel and that they should be feeling throughout life. And so that's kind of always been my thing. And that's why I started the podcast and the class and everything that I do is just to get more women to understand their bodies and how they can actually heal themselves.
So that kind of answers my question. I would love to ask people, what is your passion, purpose, and your why? And you just said all that, but that seems like you kind of went down that road from what we all have our own experiences that we get. Seems like every nutritional therapy practitioner, and I went to FDN conference the other weekend. So that was a similar story. We all kind of have our own journey that we got on this journey because of personal issues, and mine's HPA axis, adrenal exhaustion, and kind of got down that road as an NTP. And I find it interesting to see how people went from personal training into nutrition. So yours was how do you get from being a personal trainer and go into this field of nutrition, functional medicine?
Well, that's a whole nother story. Yes. So really interesting though, because when you're in the fitness world, you think that you are the healthiest person ever. And, I don't know your story, but with me, I was really into the bodybuilding world for a while there. And I trained and competed in a figure competition, which was really talk about adrenal exhaustion. That was really when things hit the wall for me health-wise. But, that you spend so long in this weird mental space where you eat 6 meals a day, you think fat's terrible, you have only plain food and calories are everything, calories in versus calories out, and all this stuff. You're so brainwashed almost when you're in the fitness industry. And then you hit this, for me, I just hit a wall. My health was really deteriorating. I was diagnosed with the ulcerative colitis, which is an autoimmune disease at that time. I lost my menstrual cycle. I was losing my hair. I was the leanest and fittest, I guess, technically, no, I won't even say fittest. I was the leanest and thinnest and had the lowest body fat I had ever had, but I was miserable. Like, I was depressed and just like had this weird thing, almost like body image issues and things going on at that time. And it just spiraled kind of out of control. So that's when finally I was like, wait a second, I feel terrible. This isn't happening. What's going on? And that's when I actually began studying to be a nutritional therapy practitioner, and went into the paleo diet as well, because I realized like what I knew about nutrition wasn't doing me any good. Right. So I actually wanted to learn the real stuff, like what actually is going on and how we actually can use food as medicine. So it did spur my new career for sure.
Yeah. And I love that. And that's why I always love asking people that I podcast with is what is your purpose and, you know, what's your passion? Because it all stems from why we do what we do. And everyone has kind of a story behind it. And I love sharing that because I think other listeners can probably relate if they're triathletes, endurance athletes. You know, this is kind of why I do the podcast more and more now, and adding nutritional therapy side of it. And nutrition as ketosis is that, you know, we struggle to lose weight, to feel energized, and to feel just ourselves and, you know, avoid that brain fog and depression, anxiety, whatever it might be, all these unexplained symptoms that you don't have to live with. And that's what I love, sharing information that we've learned from nutritional therapy and along my journey, because it's just, you can't exercise if everyone's exercising already and think they're eating right for their body, that they still feel like this. Like, no, we don't have to live this way. So that's why I wanted to have you on the show today to talk about your podcast has grown tremendously, and the information you share and the impact you're making on the world is pretty amazing and impressive, that especially in 2 years that you're doing that. So obviously people are looking for this information,
yes,
and searching for help that they can't get from just going to their doctor. So talk about, your podcast is called Keto for Women, and what do you find is like the biggest things that you get the most questions about that people want to know?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is that people, well, women in particular is kind of who we're focusing on today. Women start keto, or they want to start keto, or they've tried even for months to do keto, and it's not working. You know, like they're not getting the benefits that they've heard that they would get. They're not seeing the weight loss that they've thought they would get, because this is what they kind of have heard from others in the keto space. And so they don't know what's up. They don't know what's going on. They try ketoing harder, they try lowering the carbs even more, and just get really frustrated with themselves and their bodies and the diet and everything. And it's like this huge cycle that is not helping anything. Right. And so, you know, that's really where I think most women come to me and my information is just in this place of frustration. And so I try to calm that, really, because there's so many factors involved that could be contributing. But the biggest thing is, like, you've got to listen to your own body. You've got to tap into what your body needs and is telling you and is showing you on a regular basis that we don't do. You know, whether you're keto or not, like, there is not enough of us as women learning about ourselves and our health and our bodies and being more intuitive with all of this to understand what it's telling us. You know, this is not just in the keto space, but I do find that we really lose sight of that when we're trying to change our diet, I think. Because we're getting all this outside information. And so we're following what this person's eating that day and like the macros that this person is doing that day. And it's not working because they're not you. And so I really am just trying to convey that message, I think, in what I do, and really get women to, first of all, understand that keto is different for women. It is not the same. If you and some man in your life start keto on the same day, you're not going to have the same results. You're not going to feel the same. You're not going to look the same. it's not going to be, and nothing about it is going to be the same because we have hormones, amongst other things. But so that's the first thing. But then also the keto diet is individual to each person.
Yes.
There is no one way.
Yes, exactly. I keep trying to share that with, listeners, and we talk keto a lot for athletes, and I listen to these Facebook group pages that I'm in, and Jimmy Moore's stuff. And it's so interesting. Everyone tries to copy something someone else is doing. And it is so individual, and how many carbs you can tolerate. And I always think of it, how your hormone bounce you talk a lot about, that I love to learn about, because I think what damage we've already had from our previous life, and it's different for every person, and chronic stress and our digestive system and everything just impacts of how you can get into ketosis, but it's not one size fits all even for that. Not even close.
And often, we end up causing, as women specifically, we end up causing more harm than good by trying to keto harder, or keto like this person, or keto like your husband, or whatever. And it's causing more damage than anything, than good at this point, which when you can approach it a little bit differently and a little bit more intuitively for your body, then that's when you get the healing benefits and this other powerful impact that keto can have. But we're just not doing that. And specifically for athletes, like there is, because that's who we're talking specifically to today, that's such a wide range of what works and what doesn't for each person. Like every different kind of athlete, every different kind of build and makeup is going to be so different in terms of your diet. And you really have to take that into account, because your diet is playing such a huge role in your performance, right? So you really have to really focus it and hone in on your own body at that point.
So what do you find are some tips for women and hormones, and they try too hard trying to get keto? What are some things that people might want to think about how they are trying keto themselves? What are some things that you've shared on your podcast and with your followers that really a lot of people can relate to?
Yeah. So the biggest thing that I see happen with women in keto, and especially athletes and women in keto, is you stop eating enough food. So, and maybe you never were, right? But regardless, there's this thing in the keto community about when you go into ketosis, or when you start eating a ketogenic diet, you're eating so much fat, and fat is satiating. So then you only end up eating one meal a day, or you start fasting, or your meals are so much smaller because you're just not hungry, and all that. You do have a different sense of hunger. I think that you have way more regulated hunger and satiety cues. Of course, that's one of the benefits of being in ketosis. But that doesn't mean you stop eating, right? Especially if you're trying to be active, or even if you just have an active job, or even if you just need to think a lot. We should be eating. As women, we need to eat food, because if we don't, our hormones really take a toll. That is very stressful on our bodies, and you will see that in your hormones eventually with the whole stress cascade that we know about. So that's the biggest thing I see. Just because you're kind of altering your macronutrients, we'll call it, because you're getting into ketosis and trying a keto diet, doesn't mean it's less food. If anything, it's more food, right? You should be really fueling your body with that approach. So that's the first thing I see. The second thing I see is that women are eating keto, but they're not actually in ketosis. So there's a big difference between eating keto, or what you consider keto, which may just be that you've kind of ixnayed all carbs and increased your fat a little bit, maybe have another spoonful or two of coconut oil per day, and you think that you are in ketosis, but you're not. So there's a very different, and it can be hard for some women to get into ketosis. It takes a lot of maneuvering and kind of altering to get to where your body's happy in that place. So just because you have altered your macronutrients does not mean that you are truly in ketosis. So this is really where I do find a lot of benefit in women testing their ketones and finding out that they truly are producing ketones, that they are in that nutritional ketosis range, without getting weird about it or obsessive about it or anything like that and starting to test 4 times a day. No, just a couple times a week. Use a blood ketone reader. It's the easiest way. A couple times a week, test your ketones and make sure that you have found your sweet spot, which is where then, of course, you have the knowledge at that point that that is your sweet spot. So you don't have to worry about what anybody else is telling you to do. So I think those are the two biggest things that I see. I would say the third that happens sometimes, and I really try to, I teach this, and this is what we do in my class, is kind of rushing it. So getting into a ketogenic diet or trying to get into a keto state too quickly. Mm-hmm. So you can, especially as women, no matter what, that transition to where you are no longer using glucose as your primary source of fuel, you're using ketones instead. That switch that happens to your body, no matter what, for everyone is stressful. It's stressful on the body because there's going to be a period of time where it's like, okay, I'm used to using glucose and I'm no longer getting that. Yeah. I'm not getting enough to get through my day, but yet that ketone production hasn't happened yet. And so your body's like, well, wait a second, what am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to get through the day? This is keto flu, essentially, but it is a stressor on your body, right, for that period of time. And as women, that can be a really hard spot to be in. So if we can make the transition into ketosis a little slower, so take our time over a matter of 3 to 4 weeks, making that alteration to your diet a little slower, then that just kind of like softens that burden. It just makes it like it's not such a big deal on your body because your body's slowly getting used to that lower level of glucose and getting ready to make that ketone. So you won't feel as bad during that transition, and it'll be much quicker. You'll have that, much slower amount of time that you're in that state. So
there's, we were just talking in your nutritional therapy Facebook private page about that. Does some people get that anxiety feeling? Someone was sharing with a client that, okay, what do you do? But do you say to just like keep at it? And it takes some people 2 weeks or 3 weeks to do that switch over, so to speak.
Yeah. So usually if people are experiencing anxiety by making that transition, it's just too much, it's too fast, right? So if you take it back a notch and start altering a little bit slower, that's usually a good case. Also, there could be some electrolyte issues that need to happen too. But usually if we just need a little more gentle approach. Like that's usually the case with most things as women, right? So keto's the same way.
The other thing I've been talking a lot about lately is this stress that we're adding to our bodies that becomes a diet. And I just read these posts of people just trying to be keto, like you're saying, is added stress, and it ends up being a diet instead of a lifestyle, and making it, this is just the way I eat. This isn't something, I'm experimenting with, but it becomes this ongoing, this lifestyle habit. And I think once, the first month or so, it might be more challenging, but it seems like people test too often. They, as you said, do every day, a few times a day, and they're fixing what they're eating. Because then I feel like it's almost an eating disorder type of issue that we're having, that it becomes so obsessive and that's all you're thinking about. And ideally is just, this is what I'm listening to my body, that I need to eat something, but this is what I'm eating. And then I'm full and satisfied, and figuring that out for yourself. Yeah.
I think, no matter what, just from past history, I think a lot of women still have this quick fix mentality. They want this to work, and they want it to work tomorrow. Yeah. Right. So, that the way, if you are doing keto in the way that is a healing lifestyle, which is what I promote it as, it's not a diet. I don't even like saying keto diet, and I try not to, but as a healing lifestyle, then it's going to take a while, because you are healing your body from within. You're finding what's imbalanced and you're fixing it. But, it didn't take that. It took a long time to get there. So it's going to take a long time to dig out of. And it's not going to be the quick fix that you want. It's not going to be like a Weight Watchers thing or anything like that, which is such a weird and crazy mentality that we need to get rid of. But a lot of us aren't there. And again, fitness industry, bodybuilder, all that stuff, I've spent years dieting and having absolutely no control over my food, or being intuitive, or having any sort of freedom with my food whatsoever. So I get it. I've been there too. Like, it took a while for me to get rid of that mentality. But when you can truly see it as a lifestyle, and when you approach it in that way, like, I just want to heal my body. If there's weight loss that needs to happen, it will happen when my body's healed. Like, continue to tell yourself that, and then you can really see it as a lifestyle and know that it's not going to happen overnight. It's just not. It's going to take a while, but it's going to be worth it because you are finally going to heal the root cause instead of jumping from diet to diet to diet and losing and gaining, feeling like crap in the meantime. We'll take care of all of that. And that's what's really important.
So that's what I love about nutritional therapy. I would say, what we do, because I wish it was more known. We need more NTPs podcasting out there.
Totally.
Out there because like we get to the root cause of those unexplained symptoms and putting pieces of the puzzle together. So we're not dieting. And I love how you call it a healing program, that you're healing from within. So what type of areas, as you mentioned early on, but what type of things do you find being keto helps as health issues that people have?
Oh, so many. So many. But I would say the biggest one that's specific to women, obviously, is our hormones. And when we're on this healing lifestyle, that we are eating enough nutrients, enough nourishing foods, getting the foods that we need, not depriving ourselves of things, and focusing on real food within our ketogenic diet. It's just amazing what can happen with your hormones. I see it all the time. And it's these women that have had terrible PMS or haven't had a menstrual cycle in years, are just, are used to having these really heavy, painful periods. And then all of a sudden it's like, whoa, well, this is so much better.
Yeah.
And it comes at the same time every month. And there's no headaches or bloating or cramps or anything like that. And it's just so easy. And, even women struggling with fertility that have been able to, have success with that. It's just that it is hugely important and really can help. And it's because, there's so many reasons, but the main reason is you're healing your blood sugar, which is a really big stressor on your body. If you do have these like roller coaster swings in your blood sugar throughout the day, which many of us have had in our lives, and more women, I think, than even realize it, have had that issue. Even if you are eating healthy,
those are air quotes, people around healthy.
Yes, air quotes, healthy. There's a lot of different versions of healthy eating out there these days. You can still have these massive blood sugar swings that are super stressful on your body. So we really just want to get to the root cause of the stress that's going on. And keto really can do that. It provides a very safe place for your body to be. So that's one thing. I've seen great things happen with digestion and with gut health issues by going keto. There's, a lot of different reasons for that, but I think one of which is you're really reducing inflammation and you're regulating your immune system. So there's two things. Those are both things that ketone production in itself, that's what they're there to do. Kind of their healing powers, I guess, in ketones is reducing inflammation and regulating your immune system. So, if you're dealing with food sensitivities or leaky gut, which you usually have both at the same time. But if you have anything like that going on, that is huge. If you have like an overgrowth of candida or a parasite or something like that, getting the sugar out that would feed such overgrowths is really great to start that process as well. Although I always recommend you also get tested to know if that's going on. So doing a comprehensive GI panel is always a good idea if you do have gut health issues, but keto is a great part of that protocol to heal the gut. I have found, even with like anxiety, depression, mental health issues, anything like that, your brain loves ketones. So we can really get some awesome benefits coming out of that. When we start producing ketones, your brain will run on ketones, and you will see some great benefits just in the neurotransmitter production. Healing that whole system works really well, and you'll start feeling a little bit happier, which is really nice. So I see that all the time. Joint pain, of course, weight loss is usually in there somewhere when the body is ready to heal. So once your body's
ready to heal, you will lose weight. I think that's like highlight that.
Yeah, right. And I say this, gosh, I think I say this in every podcast episode, but it's really important to continue to remind ourselves that if you have excess weight, and this is again also a reminder, it's not what you think you should look like, it's what your body's happy at. So your body's happy weight, if you are in excess of that, it is because you have an underlying health issue. That is a symptom of something going on in your body. to have that excess weight. So when the body heals that thing, which it could be, a lot of times I see that it's a combination of things. It could be inflammation, a food sensitivity, adrenal health issue, which causes a hormonal imbalance, a thyroid issue. It's a combination of more than one thing. But once you're there and your body balances out, that weight does come off because your body wants to be at its happy weight just as much as you want it to be.
So funny. I'm laughing because this is where I just have this conversation every day with my clients because I feel like, we need to get that message out so strong it's like, if you're not losing weight and you're trying all these different diet plans and we're just post summer when we're recording this and people are like, oh, I need to do this and that. And it's not necessarily just about what you're eating and how you're exercising. It's
not at all
going on. Like I said that for my adrenal story and I wrote My Life is Not a Race personal story that I gained 30 pounds. And I felt like everyone was like, oh, she must be eating a bunch of donuts and crap all day. She suddenly gained 30 pounds in a couple months. What the heck? But it had nothing to do with what I was eating and my exercise. So I just want to get those people out there just can't lose weight and they keep trying to exercise more. And I have clients who do that all the time. All right, I'm going to go to Orange Theory before I do personal training with you. And then I'm going to go do my long run. And it's like, doesn't work. Yeah.
And you're going to burn your body out and it will reciprocate that by gaining weight or by, hormonal imbalance or other serious health issues.
Yeah.
So just remember that. I mean, I did that to myself. So I'm telling you from personal experience at this point. Yeah.
So I know we're running out of time, but just going back to a big topic, which you speak a lot about is hormones. So the hormones get off balance. Are you saying finding it's more adrenal, HP axis dysregulation of chronic stressors inside and outside the body is causing this hormone imbalance? And because we learn in nutritional therapy and say this every day, our goal is to balance the blood sugar and avoid those insulin surges. So following a more ketogenic type of food plan to get your body to balance blood sugar so you're not having insulin surges will cause a less source of stress to your adrenals, which will help your hormones imbalance because we get that pregnenolone steal if we get the cortisol. Is that kind of what you're finding the hormones related to more the HP axis, not necessarily what you're eating, but the stress?
Yes, exactly. So it's all the main goal that I have for women is to reduce their stress. Right? Like probably the same as you. So, but that comes in so many different forms these days. It's just that we are chronically turned on into that sympathetic state. So one of the things we can do, and like I said, this is part of a lifestyle. So there should be a lot of other things that go on in your life to reduce your stress. But one of the things you can do diet wise is to really regulate your blood sugar. So it's going to take out that stressor from your body because every time you have a blood sugar dip, you need cortisol to get yourself back up. So just keep that in mind. You're constantly calling upon that stress hormone, calling upon your adrenals to produce that and secrete it every single time. So you can level yourself out and that won't happen. So that's great. But then also getting into an actual ketogenic state. So producing ketones, that is, I call it the state of homeostasis. So your body, like I said, is very happy there. It's very balanced. It feels really good. It knows it's safe. It knows there's plenty of fuel around for anything and everything it needs. You're also getting those anti-inflammatory effects. You're kind of balancing your immune system, like I said. So it's just a really awesome place for your body to be where it feels really safe. So that's another way to kind of like chill your body out a little bit.
I know. That's why I keep talking about, and that's why I'm trying to get out and speak more about chronic stress on your body. And the stressors are external and internal. And people don't realize we're just constantly on and we're rushing all day long. And I always say the same thing. It's when you wake up in the morning, the alarm goes off and you don't stop until you hit the bed at night. And then you struggle falling asleep and start over Groundhog's Day. I think people want to really optimize their health and start burning fat. They have to look at this I call it the holistic method, but just everything we're talking about and look at the root cause. And it's so much of it lifestyle. So you can't just, I'm going to go keto, change what I'm eating. But if I keep saying, are you able to digest
this much of that?
Yeah, I know. Are you able to digest your fat? Are you digesting properly, absorbing it, breaking down that fat? And also, are you chronically stressed? Because I keep thinking, if I keep eating low carb, high fat, trying to get in ketosis, but I'm stressed out every day long, I keep raising my blood sugar. So it doesn't work.
I know. It's just this chronic thing that all women, not all women, but I'd say 99% of women have going on. And I know from personal experience, and you know from personal experience, so we're telling you this because we've actually been through it ourselves, that it will wreak havoc on your body. You will not be able to lose weight. You will not be able to perform the way you want to perform. You're not going to be the mom you want to be, XYZ. Just everything is going to slowly collapse if you don't start taking it seriously. So we're in this kind of society, I think, where it's like cool to be stressed or something, or we're just like expected to be stressed. I don't even know. But let me tell you, it's okay to like sit down and do nothing. Like, it's really, really good for you to sit down, to meditate, to take some deep breaths, to like lock yourself in your closet if you need to and get some alone time, to take a bath, to go on a walk, do some things for yourself. That's really where it does become this lifestyle approach. It's not just one thing. It never will just be one thing. Diet is great. Working out is great, but you have to do everything else.
Yes. And I'm so excited. We have lots of podcasts I have coming up this fall about earthing, grounding, and different ways of sleeping, and kind of looking at the sleep side and recovery and getting outside and just walking bare feet in sunshine, and how that can affect your health. And, put that with a ketogenic type of diet, eating real whole foods is just so important to do all of it. So thank you for sharing that and passion that you have. So we can find you on ShawnMynar.com. I'll put that in the show notes, and then finish up just what the Fat Burning Female Project is and what you've got going on.
Yeah. So this is actually a class I've been running now for almost 2 years, almost the entire time I've been keto myself. I've been helping other women get into ketosis. So everything we talked about today, where it can be keto can be so great for you, or it can wreak havoc on your body if you do it kind of one way versus the other way. I take the guesswork out of that, and we, as a group of women, or there is also a self-study option. You go through the transition slowly, safely, making sure you're getting enough food, you're nourishing your body. You get to this point where you will be in ketosis, and you will be providing those ketones for your body, and then you can work on becoming intuitive with it. So no tracking, no counting, no macros, no nothing. You're just eating, and you're just learning more about your body, and you're listening to your body. So we do all of that in 6 weeks together as a group. And it's just really fun. It's just been so great. So many women have had some really great success stories come out of that. And it's really fun for me to witness that, but then just like to teach and to answer your questions and be there to support everyone. So that's what I do.
Love that. That's perfect. So we'll put everything in there, and you guys can listen to Shawn's podcast. You have one time a week, every Tuesday?
Every Friday.
Every Friday. You've got yours out every Friday. We are out every Tuesday. And I love your information. Thank you so much for taking the time out today to share your story with us and what you're up to. So we look forward to following you as well. And also on Instagram, I know you're on there. Find your website. It's lots of information and good resources. So thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was really fun.
Thanks for listening to the Whole Athlete Podcast. If you have any questions, feedback, or topic suggestions, let us know on Facebook or at wholeathletepodcast.com. You can help us continue and grow by leaving a review on iTunes. Thanks again, and see you next time.